Hi, I'm Victor. It's a pleasure to be here at this incredible conference. I'm here to talk about a topic you might not have heard of. No, I'm just kidding. You've all heard of AI, the change that's coming, and this is near and deep to my heart. So my content today is around the business implications of AI. There is a lot of discussion in the society around, are we all going to get killed by a Terminator? And I'm really not. No, I might go there a little bit, but really, what I'm more here to talk about is as you're running businesses, as you think about businesses, and as a executive, which I am, right? How do I think about this crazy time in the world? And it literally is a crazy time in the world in an exciting way, in the best possible way. So, quick introduction. I am a tech exec. I have run the gamut from the smallest company, startup, all the way up to Microsoft. Three-time CEO. So I'm currently the CEO of Emovid, which is a stealth AI video company. Before that, ran Evite, the world's largest invitation platform, and a number of different roles. I sit on boards, advisory boards, and have enough background in computer science statistics to have a passion around data. So that's always been something that has driven me, which is why I'm really excited about this time. So let me first start and give you, I'm a huge framework person as well. So you're going to get a lot of frameworks today, and hopefully at least one of them will stick with you and you'll say, wow, this was valuable. But the first framework I want to share is, why does every company on the planet need to pay attention to what's happening? And you guys, everybody might be there already, but if not, there's a simple way that you think about strategy as an executive. So this is a methodology I've used forever, which is, look, when you're running a business, you have to think about all of these macro changes that are happening, right? The social changes, the technological changes, the economic, political, market changes, right? These are big meta macro dynamics happening in the world, and you really have to think about them over multi-years. You can't plan a business strategy until you do that. And these purple boxes represent all of the places where AI and the coming change that's going to result from the technological wave, where things are changing, right? AI is going to change our social behaviors, of course, the technology basics, political landscape around how we think about the use of this technology, etc. Market dynamics are going to change, which I'll talk about. So literally everything that you have to think about as you're running a business is going to be impacted by this technology. And what is this tech? So I'm going to start with some what I call VCHO definitions and making sense of the acronym craziness. If you go search on AI, literally there is no single unified framework for how to think about it. You'll actually see many competing. I'm not going to go into these because you can't even see them, but you get the idea. There's a complex web of AI, machine learning, data science, and in some ways, I'm going to tell you, hey, you can forget about all of that, kind of, because this is, in my opinion, a better way to think about what's happening with AI. And this frame, I call it a useful taxonomy. It's not how we're building stuff. If you think of all the existing frameworks around AI, it's all around the underlying technology, but it's really about the what. Like, what are we doing with this? And if you create a simple 2x2, I'm a big fan of the 2x2, around what is the task complexity of what you're trying to solve with this technology, and what are the outcomes, you get this interesting 4-quadrant. And on the bottom left, right, you have simple unidimensional tasks, right? Basic machine learning, Grammarly, if you guys have used that, the programs that solve chess. Right, these are one-dimensional problems with predicted outcomes, meaning you kind of know what the outcome is, right? You're going to create an algorithm or a neural net, and it's going to learn how to play a game better. You can kind of anticipate what's going to happen with that system. Yes, it'll get better and better. Eventually, it'll be a human. It doesn't surprise you, right? And if you move over to the right, you can have complex multidimensional systems. Self-driving is a great example of that for those of you that have been in a self-driving car. Right, you have visual dynamics that it's tracking. You have road rules, right? It's more than just playing chess, right? It's actually a much more complex, multi-dimensional problem, but it's still very much a predicted outcome, right? You're still just having the car drive. The big aha for AI is that we are moving our technology for the first time in history into emergent outcomes. And what's an emergent outcome, right? Emergent outcomes are where you don't anticipate what is going to come out of the system, right? It actually has functionality that transcends the design. And that's literally what we're seeing with the wave of AI. So, hopefully that's useful, right? This is a unique moment in the history of humanity, right? To create systems that can create emergent behaviors. And what does that mean? It means, and I'll show you some slides, these systems are doing things they were never programmed to do, right? They actually have emergent capability. So some other quick definitions. General AI or artificial general intelligence. This is the, hey, Jarvis, it's the C3PO, it's human beings. Are we anywhere close to that? I'm in the camp, and everyone's in a different camp. I'm in the camp of like, hey, we don't really need to worry about this, right? Because if you think of that matrix that I just showed you, like, think of all the tasks that a human being can accomplish. They're like all over this quadrant, right, that I showed you in terms of outcomes and emergent behavior. General intelligence could literally do everything, right? And we today have not built a system that can do that. Now, the fact that we've built a system that can do a piece of this means conceptually, right, that's the first step towards now building a system that can do it all. So we, at least in my mind, we absolutely are on the path towards a general intelligence, but it's not going to happen spontaneously, and it's going to take a lot of design. What we are, though, at the cusp of is the impact of having emergent technology, right? Emergent, complex, multidimensional technology, which is really the realm of generative AI, which sounds like general AI or general intelligence, so it may confuse you. So I'll use the acronym GAI for generative AI. But this is a huge deal. This is, I would argue, one of the biggest societal changes that we're going to experience, the fact that we've cracked this line of emergent capability. And why is that? I believe we are about to experience one of the largest, fastest, most impactful system shocks to human behavior ever. And I know people equate AI to the wheel, electricity, other things. I think it will be maybe the biggest thing that we bring into the society in terms of changing behavior. And I'll tell you why. So what's different? Why is this place and time different? There's 5 big reasons, and I'll go real quickly into each of these. So at first, right, we've crossed this emergence threshold. As a result, we've created systems that are actually better than humans. They can create, reason, and think. They can work on any kind of data. And we can expose that as a service to the entire world, which is run on software and data. So what does this mean? GAI crosses the magic threshold, right? This idea of emergent capabilities in a system is profound. And here's just one example. Many of you guys have probably seen some of these slides, but this is a graph of, it's called the theory of mind. It's a great psychological test that tries to measure whether an individual is aware of his own self, right? If you ask children at a young age some fairly complex questions around like, who are you? And like, what do you see? And what do you see versus what that person sees? Like, these are actually, they seem simple to us, but a child gets confused. The AI systems are answering these theory of mind questions. Like, they have an awareness of self. Now, I would argue it's not a true awareness, right? It's coming out of the language model, which I'll describe in a second. But the end result is an emergent capability to understand self. That's never happened before. And you can see the progression and how fast this has happened over the last 3 years. So these things are becoming maybe not self-aware in the way that we're aware, but they will seem as if they're self-aware, because if you ask them the question, right? And you ask them the question of, hey, what happens if you walked into a room and then somebody shifted these boxes around and moved this item, and then Sally came in and looked at it, and like, what did she see versus what you saw? It would literally be able to answer that question in a way that a 7-year-old could not. These generative AI systems are, I'm sorry about this, I think in the import this got cut off. They're responding with capabilities that are now better than pretty much most humans. So you can see all of these tests that are now effectively beatable, for lack of a better term, by the latest iteration. GPT-4 OpenAI is probably one of the best. There's not a person on the planet, or maybe there are probably people on the planet that could score this well on all these tests. But the fact that, one, it's scoring across such a wide range, and two, you can see the progression between 3.5 and 4. You can see how fast this technology is moving. We are very quickly going to get to the point where these systems have more capability in terms of these base level knowledge sets than 99% of human beings on the planet, which is crazy. GAI can create, reason, and think. It's the third issue. So there's this whole question of, well, what is intelligence? Like, what is creativity? What is reasoning? What is sentience? And if you look at a kid, clearly it's sentient. She sentient, making a huge mess. You're like, well, what the hey is going on? Why is this kid making a huge mess? We're at that early. We're in day one of thousands of days of progress. Is the way I think about this in terms of this technology. So this is now an old image, right? It's probably like 4 months old, but a computer basically answered this prompt: draw a robot that is scary, giving an audience a speech. Now, is this creative? If you asked a human being to put this together, you would absolutely say yes. That was a super creative picture. So this line of what is creativity is really an interesting one, right? What is reasoning when you think of that theory of the mind example that I gave? These systems are going to break into those spaces. They already have broken into those spaces. And the big one that people talk about is, are these things sentient? Like, can they think? And there's a huge group of people that say, no, this is not a sentient system. But I would push back on those folks and say, like, do we really understand what sentience is, right? If you think of our AI models today are these large language models that are taking a ton of text as an input and then spitting out a ton of text as a response, and they're working basically on a data set of a whole bunch of information, images, increasingly pictures. So that's going to be inherently limited by design, right? Given what we're putting into it. Imagine a world which is, and this is going to come sooner than you guys think. Imagine where that input stream is not just a proactive text request, but it's perpetual visual stream of data and a perpetual audio stream of data, and maybe tactile or olfactory data, environmental data, right? Imagine that's perpetually streaming into this same engine, which we know now can effectively reason and create. And then the big thing, which hasn't been built in, but I am fascinated to see this finally get applied, is our minds have a recursive loop, right? It's feeding back into ourselves. We have an inner dialogue. You can build an inner dialogue into a large language model, right? So imagine the difference between what we have today, which can solve 90% of the world's best tests, and something like this, right? Is this system going to be thinking? I will argue when we actually do this, which we haven't done yet, but when we do this, and we absolutely will as a society, and we peek into the hood at what is going on in the language model, we're going to start to say, oh my God, this thing looks like it is becoming sentient. Fourth reason this is a huge deal, right? Generative AI works on any data. Anything that can be digitized is applicable. And last one, GAI as a service. So software as a service, infrastructure as a service. Right, the world of software runs on a service metaphor. So as you're building new technologies, you can literally now consume intelligence as a service, which is a crazy idea, right? It is like the sci-fi, right? We're going to put a brain that knows more than most of humanity and make it available for pennies per call or maybe dollars per call, which is crazy. So people talk about, this is a future world where you can think of every person on the planet has 1,000 grad students in their pocket. And I think that's a understatement, right? That's the world today, right? Yeah, you've got 1,000 grad students at your pocket at your beck and call. But in a future world, because everyone's got a supercomputer smartphone, right? You're going to have 1,000 of the world's best X. Define whatever X is. And it's not the grad student level, right? It's going to be world-class level. Like, that's a crazy world to think about operating in, right? That nothing like that has ever been available to mankind. Not even search, right? Search was a very reactive set of data coming back. You had to do the interpretation. So what are the implications of all of this, right? Why is this so important for business? The three big ones are, there is a tsunami of innovation coming, and it's already coming. If you track this space, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of companies around the AI space that were spawned in the last year. And it's very early stage. For those of you that lived through the first .com bubble, very similar, right? You're going to get this massive wave of innovation coming in, and you're going to see businesses that are better, faster, cheaper, and doing what seemed to be impossible, resulting in massive business model disruption over time. So I think these are my last couple of slides. What does this mean? Better, faster, cheaper. So you think of taking 1,000 of the world's best whatever and sticking them in the pocket of every person trying to build a business, right? You can do things 10 times better. Now, I'm not going to say 100 times better, because our businesses generally have done a good job at perfecting their business models. Where we are going to get 100x multipliers are faster, right? You're going to be able to do things in minutes that used to take weeks. This is a great example of an AI company that is allowing you to do a digital photo shoot of your product in whatever environment you want within minutes, right? That used to take maybe weeks and was very pricey. That's just one tactical example, right? You don't need a studio, right? You can literally say, put my product on a couch on the beach, and you'll get the answer. You'll be able to do things 100 times cheaper, or 1/100th of the cost. But for me, the biggest one is there are literally things that are impossible to do that are now going to be possible in this new world, and that's what's exciting. The business that I work on, Emovid, is doing that. We are going to bring basically an impossible solve into the world of video in a way that's super exciting. And the result of that, just a ton of disruption, right? A ton of disruption. So entrenched businesses will, of course, absorb this, but I predict you're going to see a wave of really radical new companies scale up over the next 5-10 years. So thank you. With